Hi, friends, it's Heidi M., and I'm in the virtual room today with Canadian multifaceted artist August Kyss. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Heidi.
August, I always let my guests introduce themselves. You wear many hats in the film industry, so give us a snippet of what you do, or maybe how you started in film.
Well, I started during the pandemic, which is kind of an odd time to start,
Hmm.
but I started in the pandemic because I thought, you know what, this might be my last chance to actually chase my goal. And I have acted before the pandemic, but I had a bad experience in on the year 2000 on a set, and I said, you know what, I don't want anything to do with this industry. But during the pandemic, I thought, you know what? Let me try this again. And I've just been giving it 1000%
Hmm.
and, you know, plugging away every day, a little bit here, a little bit there. I started in horror, but now I'm starting to do things like action and comedy,
Hmm.
also drama, and I'm just having a blast. I'm absolutely loving it.
Nice. Yeah, I see from the notes you're wearing different hats, but I'm curious, do people know that you're also an accomplished makeup artist?
I don't think people know that. So I haven't been doing makeup since about 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really do it on set, but I used to I graduated from complexions
Mm-hmm.
and I learned fashion makeup, beauty and fashion makeup. So I went that route for a while. I thought, okay, let
Yes.
me just stay behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. But
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't enough. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good tidbits because I guess that also gave you an idea that you wanted to be creative in some way,
Yes, definitely.
right?
Yeah.
And so you say you started in horror. So what is it about horror? I know you're a huge fan of anything 80s, 1980s.
Yeah.
Well, what was it about horror that kind of caught your attention?
I think it's the comfort of the video era.
Mm.
Going to the video store with, my beloved father or, my friends in the 80s and picking up these like not the best movies, all of them, a lot of the B movies, you
Yes.
know, but still being absolutely horrified watching them as a child. Why was I allowed to watch that?
Same.
You know what I mean?
For
But
sure.
it really imprinted itself on me now, like throughout my whole life, and I had no idea that it would do that. And I guess for me it's like a comfort.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I would say it's relatable. I think a lot of us that kind of are fans of the genre, or even just in general fans of movies, uh,
Hmm.
are basically have sort of a childhood story where it's like, why did I watch that? But clearly, we're fine. And
And for the longest time, like I remember maybe up to like 5 years old, I thought a lot of that was real. Like I thought people were
mm.
spying on each other.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of childhood, right? The
Yes.
imagination and curiosity, and
Yes.
I think that's also part of being horror fans still, where
Yep.
we suspend disbelief for the most part and allow ourselves to feel whatever we're feeling when we're watching someone like you on screen, for example, you know?
It's so fun. And I love how, I can be part of this world after watching it, while growing up. It's pretty amazing.
For sure. So, you've been kind of going, like you said, 1,000%
Mhm.
since you began. So, rather than going through all of your filmography, I kind of want to ask you about some of the key films that have marked your career so far for whatever reason. What would you like to
Well,
start
I'd really like to give props to a film I did last February called Flesh of the Unforgiven.
by? Mm-hmm.
I just won two awards for Best Supporting Actress in some European festivals.
Yes.
And also, I've been nominated by Horror Nation for Best Supporting Actress as well. And that's currently like a contest that's going on right now. And I'm against some of my peers, Jessa Flex, who was in Murder Size,
Yes.
as well as Shonda Rawlings, who was in Grind, and of course Tara Reid and Sarah Nickel, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, you're in good company there, and congratulations because the indie horror film is quite big,
Yeah,
and it has some great fan base there. So my understanding is the Horror Nation Awards are gonna, or the winners are gonna be announced soon, right?
I think it's going to be announced on Monday.
Okay, so we'll have to stay tuned for that,
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm so excited to be the only Canadian there.
right? We gotta represent us.
Yes, 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 yes.
Absolutely. So for people who don't know Flesh of the Unforgiven, what's your role there in that film?
I play a grieving mother. Her name is Vivian, and she's basically suffering tremendous guilt in her life.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
it's a sad character, but there's a twist to this character.
Hmm.
And it gave me the opportunity to do what I can do best. And I am very proud of this role that I had. And I have to thank the director, Joe Hollow.
Hmm.
Basically found me on Facebook, and he took a chance on me, I took a chance on him, and I'm very blessed that that happened.
That's great. I always hear stories about how it ends up being very much community oriented in terms of working in film, you know?
Yes, yes, definitely. Networking is a huge part of it.
Hmm. And there are other films that maybe you want to highlight. Can you tell me a little bit about Death Bitch? I know it's been garnering awards too.
Yeah, so Death Bitch just became available on video on demand.
Hmm.
You can see it on Fossum on all four channels.
Nice.
Yes, and that was really fun. I got to play Kimberly Wells, who is a reporter that really cares about her community and is disgusted that there is this vigilante taking matters in his or her own hands, and just really confused about the situation. I really enjoyed playing that. It was different. It was actually my first action film.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
I think you also mentioned you've done some drama work, right? So you're expanding in that realm.
yes. I did a film in August
Hmm.
named Farewell to Youth, starring Larry Thomas and Maddie Cardopel. And I play a comedy club owner who just lost her husband. And the comedy club is just keeping her alive and keeping her thriving. And she thinks she just found the next big thing.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So this is a new kind of role for you. I understand.
Yes. I love it. You know what? I think I don't want to say favorites, but like I'm kind of leaning towards I'm really loving drama and I'm really loving comedy so far. I love the
Okay.
horror, but I really love like comedy horror and then the dramatic stuff. I really love it.
Comedy horror is great because it's also not as easy to get. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Comedy in general is not as easy as it looks
it's
because
not. It really isn't.
it's about timing and also just the context, right? Not everybody might get the joke or the fun of it.
Sometimes I don't get the joke.
That happens. Um, in your work, you've also worked with some really great female actors from the horror genre, like Lynn Lowry.
Mhm.
What was that like? You had three films with her.
So I have been in movies with her, but I've never met her.
Okay.
It's one of those things like you're in the same film, but you're not in the same scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that kind of was shitty. But I have to say that I really loved working with Debbie Rashawn on
Mm-hmm.
Flesh of the Unforgiven because we did work together, and it was a pleasure and an honor to work with such an icon like that.
Of course.
And she's Canadian as well.
I know. It's interesting that people, I guess, I'm not saying not everybody recognizes these actors, but it's more around, um, we might know them from something specifically, but they're being working still. Whether they're acting or behind the scenes,
Yeah,
you know.
Debbie is still acting, she's producing, she's directing. I don't think she's going to stop anytime soon.
Well, I mean, that's good. So for
Yeah.
someone like you, that's also great because it just goes to show you the trajectory of careers, and how they go.
Yes, definitely.
And I also wanted to ask you in terms of you're preparing for your roles. What do you normally do when you're being offered a role? Do you tend to sort of ask the director for some guidance? What's your process like?
Well, every director is different. Sometimes I don't get a chance to talk to the director beforehand.
Hmm.
Um, so if I don't get that chance, I'll usually pull from a life situation. For
Right.
example, I had to play a strict religious woman who's kind of against people that were like, you know, LGBTQ, kind of against that. And
Right.
that's totally not me. Like that's
Hmm.
polar opposite of me. But I've met people like that.
Yes.
So, so I try to go into that life experiences, like try to pull into being that character, being that person that I met that one time, that made me feel really uncomfortable. Um so I usually pull from that, or if I do have a chance to speak to the director, I ask them what inspired them to write that character. Is there any movies I can watch that remind you of that character? And they usually give me stuff to watch.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But you can also build your story for that character.
Yes.
Interesting. So I was noticing in doing some of my research, I noticed that you also want to do, you're going to be doing, I believe, a series coming up. Can we talk about
Hmm.
that? Dark Rewind?
Yes. So I can't disclose the director of the series just yet, but I am going to be co-directing with the director.
Mm-hmm.
And the show is a throwback to 80s horror, my favorite. Yeah, so it's going to be eight episodes of me kind of describing the movie, commenting on the movie, hopefully getting some celebrities from the film to come on the show as well. It's going to be really fun. So like Rhonda Shear meets Elvira, but it's
Yes.
me, like a more modern version. Yeah, I'm really, really excited. This is like my little baby. I've been kind of working on this for 2 years. So yeah, it's time.
That's congratulations. That's exciting. So where
Thank
did the idea
you.
come about for you for Dark Rewind?
Well, my mentor, David Bond,
Mm-hmm.
um, I've been talking to him ever since he started developing Scream TV.
Right.
And Scream TV is available now in Canada and the US and also the UK, and it's available on Roku,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Distro, and they need original content. And I suggested to him, what about something like Elvira or Rhonda Shear, but a little bit more modern and 80s horror. And he was really interested in that. So I'm happy that I did that.
Yeah, sometimes if you don't ask, you don't know.
That's
I mean, it
right. And
sounds
you
easy.
always ask,
It
always
sounds
ask. The
easy, but
worst thing that they can say is no.
for sure. And I mean, it sounds easier said than done, but I think, like you said, we just don't know unless we even just bring it up.
Yep, that's right. Pitch it.
Or or maybe right place, right time also helps.
Absolutely. I think a lot of it is luck,
Mm-hmm.
but don't give up. If this is your passion, keep on going because there's enough sunshine for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you
Hmm.
mentioned your mentor. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship and how it helps you kind of, in terms of keeping your momentum going?
Yes. So he encouraged me to take history of horror with Chris Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's like, well, if you really want to do this show, I suggest that you take this course so you'll know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay. So I took the history of horror class with Chris Alexander, and that taught me horror from like the first horror film to the 80s, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting, really intricate sometimes like so intricate that you can't remember it all. You know what I mean?
For sure. It's a lot of
Yes,
information.
lots of information. He also encouraged me to take acting lessons. He also encouraged, like, there's days where it's really, really hard, and like you audition so many times and you don't get anything, and it's like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It's not easy. It's really hard, but he's always there. You just need a little break. Today was a bad day. Pick it up and go again tomorrow.
And I'm curious, in terms of, have you been able to travel with some of the films that you've been in terms of film festivals and meeting audiences?
So I'm lucky that I've started doing conventions.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's been a real joy of mine, just selling DVDs and posters and autographs and meeting people that have watched my films, and it's almost like surreal. It's like, wow, I didn't realize I was making this much of an impact. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
I have been able to travel. I went to Chatham, Niagara Falls, Toronto, of course, and then for other, like, for my film work, I've been like all over Canada, Ottawa, Calgary, Vancouver, um, Winnipeg. I've been everywhere.
So what was that? What's it like for you? What is it? What do you find when you're meeting people that are following your work?
My favorite is meeting a woman that says to me, I really like what you're doing. It's such a feminist thing. And I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, yeah, I really like it. You empower women more than you realize. And I didn't realize I was doing that. So when I meet women that tell me that, it makes me feel so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why I ask because I find that, oftentimes meeting audience members or fans is sort of really quickly, like let's say our red carpet or, like those kinds of formats. But at a
Mhm.
convention, you kind of maybe get a little bit more of that interaction and discussion going.
Yeah, I love it. And also meeting other actors that say, like, you've inspired me to try acting again. You inspired me to get an agent again. You inspired me to give it another chance. And I just it's very humbling to hear that.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's that building of community, right?
Yeah, I think that's so important, and we are so lucky to have that here. I've heard stories that it's not always like that in other countries when it comes to horror, but I think in Canada we're really lucky that we have that.
Yes, and I think you're right. I am affiliated with Blood in the Snow Film Festival here in Toronto, and I do hear that even from our patrons, so people who've been coming to the festival for years. I used to be one of them. Um,
Yeah.
so I do see that there's a certain level of community here that we've heard through the grapevine when you go to festivals in the US, for example, it's just a different energy, you know?
Yeah, I've heard that. And I think we're really blessed that we have that kind of vibe.
And it's also like a very creative environment, I find.
Definitely. Yeah.
A
I
lot of
love
a
Blood in
lot
the
of work.
Snow.
A lot of work
It's
being
so
done here.
fun. Yeah.
Sorry, I keep speaking over you, but it's kind of exciting to shout out our colleagues in the biz.
Yes. I love Blood in the Snow.
Oh, thank you. So August, what are we looking forward to? We're going to be looking forward to Dark Blue Wine, which is the series coming up.
Yeah.
Any other sort of projects that you can share with us before I wrap up?
Tomorrow I'm going to be shooting a really cool film called Jesus Cop.
Oh, okay. Sounds
Yeah.
interesting. What's
Yeah.
that
So
about?
it's a horror comedy,
Okay.
my favorite. Yes. And my role is small, but it's pivotal at the same time. It's like it's perfect, actually. I am super excited. Um, the director is Rob Gabriel. He is a drummer from Green Jelly. I don't know if you know that song, Three Little Pigs.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so like he's a, Grammy nominated guy,
Hmm.
real sweetheart. I can't wait to meet him and his producer Sarah.
Hmm.
And also Bam Margera is in this film from Jackass.
That should be interesting.
Very, very.
Very interesting. So, are you filming out of town?
No, good old Scarborough.
Okay, nice.
Yes.
So that's also convenient, right? Being able to work in sort of quote unquote hometown.
Yeah, for sure. Not hopping on a plane and like, you know, trying to juggle the time change and all that.
Hmm.
So
And
I would tell people to watch out for the, of course, Death Witch, which is now on VOD.
yes,
And also it got two nominations with Film Threat, Best Action Film and Best Action Film under 100,000 in 2024.
nice.
What else? Oh yes, Massage Parlor Massacre is going to be coming out next year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that has a surprise ending that is super duper sweet, and I cannot wait for the world to see it. I'm so excited.
So, do you think we're gonna be seeing in festivals or VOD? Or
He hasn't really answered me with that. I'm gonna try to twist his arm and say yes, but yeah,
well, I mean, the title is already very enticing.
it is. It really is.
uh, so we'll leave it at that. We'll stay tuned. We'll say to people, stay tuned.
Yes.
And when you're not busy in film, August, how do you
Mhm.
keep yourself busy? How do you center yourself and take care of yourself?
I try to go to the gym as much as I can. I'm a little bit of a spiritual person, not
Hmm.
religious, but spiritual. I
Hmm.
like to, you know, listen to Buddhist type of teachings, near-death experience podcasts. My cat actually, she took a lot of my time, of course, but she just passed away yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. But so I'm gonna have to find something else to fill that time with. But
Mm.
you know, just meditation and staying grounded and reading, all
Yes.
kinds of stuff.
Hmm. So always making time for other things that is outside of work, I guess.
Yeah, you kind of have to, or else you go cuckoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I find that, when like I said, when I look at your work, you look very busy, but clearly you're also taking care of yourself. So there's gotta be, I think it's not 100% balance, right? But
Yeah,
something that
it's
kind of gives you that break.
it's definitely not 100% balanced. Like last year, I really worked so hard. Like, but I'm planning this year just a little bit, you know, take more vacations. Now that I don't have a cat that I have to worry about when I travel, I'd like to
Sure.
travel a little bit more, you
Hmm.
know, things like that.
For sure, for sure. Well, I mean, we're looking forward to whatever is happening this year, August. And if people want to find you, what's the best way to keep in touch or follow your day to day?
I would say definitely follow me on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just August Kiss on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and then August Kiss on Instagram.
Perfect. I will be sure to tag so people know where to find you.
Okay.
And again, thank you so much, August, for speaking with me. It's really nice to connect. I know we haven't been able to connect in person, but hopefully, maybe this year
Oh,
in,
I hope to meet you in
in the
person too. That
festivals.
would be awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to look forward to this show you're talking about, Dark Rewind. It sounds like a lot of fun.
I think you're gonna love it.
Well, I mean, anything that is sort of nerdy and teaches me about movies, I love
Yes. Okay, then
it.
it's right up your alley.
Exactly. Thank you again,
Okay, thank you so much.
and take good care.
Okay, ciao.
Bye.